To cut a long story short, unusual for me, I know, Matt Hyra, lead designer of Access and Allies North Africa, got in contact with me about 7 or 8 weeks ago, and he said when they started work on North Africa, there was a thought of it starting in February 41 rather than January 42. And there's an idea of a scenario thing there. Would I be interested in taking a look at it and giving him my thoughts? I jumped at the chance. Of course I did. I love house rules in games. I like finding new ways of playing things. And a new way of playing North Africa, which I very much enjoy, was right up my street. So if you want to hear a rundown of how Operation Sonnenblume, this is what this video is all about, came about, then keep watching. But if you want to skip forward in time, I put a timestamp down below so you can get to the rules explanation quickly, and on from there there'll be another timestamp when we get into the first round of gameplay. But other than that, the rules will be posted up onto BGG in the North Africa file section. When everything goes live, I'll put a link down there to it as well. Before we get going, may I mention that I make these videos in aid of a charity called Cure Parkinson's. You can guess what they're trying to do. There's a link to them below this video, one in the About section on the channel page. If you happen to have a spare dollar, euro, yen, yak, or British pound you can send to them, I'm sure they'll appreciate it. So, I got the February 41 scenario that was proposed by Matt to the table, and I had 2.5 or 3 proper run-throughs with it, and I can't say I didn't like it. I just didn't see that it added anything to the existing game apart from time. You see, Rommel's last push, the 14-turn scenario, begins in January 42, and the February 41 extra 6-turn scenario was, I think, intended as a prequel that would then lead on to the 14-turn scenario. You're adding 6 turns to the game, you're adding a year to the effective gameplay, if you like, because as Matt explained, that the positions of the Axis and Allies forces in February 41 and January 42 were about the same numbers, same positions. And so the idea of the prequel, the February 41, was to historically emulate that. What I found when playtesting was that really all you were doing was lengthening the game, and both powers, or both sides, seemed to be playing a defensive game, trying to hang on till the proper reinforcement could come in. Then you could get a big bucket of dice, throw it at the game, and have loads of big bashes. And as I say, it didn't float my boat, that idea. But me being me, with a dumb mind that just goes off on one, Operation Sonnenblume came to mind straight away. I did think that a February 41 start was a good idea, but as a 6-turn self-contained scenario where you have those 6 turns to play, and at the end there are variable win conditions to that. And I was relieved when Matt confirmed my thoughts. That was partly why it didn't make the production version, while they chose the 42 start. And he also saw something in Sonnenblume, and basically said to him, "Hey kid, knock yourself out, run with it, see where it goes." And I have to say, his patience was endless, and I think I tested it with far too many emails that I dropped to him over the next following weeks, as I was progressing the idea for the scenario. And he would come back with an idea. "I don't like what you've done there. I do like what you've done there. Perhaps you could try this approach. Why don't you try welding that part into it? This, that, and t'other." And so I was pestering him, but as I said, he showed great patience. And between the pair of us, with him dropping in some last-minute things there, which I accommodated, which worked really nicely, I must admit, we've now got onto what I think is the same page, and I've got a working example now of Operation Sonnenblume, a 6-turn scenario. So you can play Operation Sonnenblume 6 turns from February 41 through to around the end of that year. And then his Rommel's Last Push is a complete separate game, the 14-turn scenario, and Operation Torch, the 7-turn, 8-turn shorter scenario for the end of that game is also on there as well. So there's 3 ways of playing this game, and I'll get on explaining the rule changes to you in a moment. But I will, when I do the rules explanation, point out the bits that were straight from Matt and some bits that were straight from me, and some conglomerations if I can remember who came up with the idea. And afterwards we'll get this to the table and we'll throw some dice at it. I see you on the other side of the camera. Okay, here we are, ready to rock and roll with our explanation of the Operation Sonnenblume rule changes you need to know. Box of bits over there and some grey tokens. I only use the grey chips in this game. If you get onto the green chips, one side or t'other is really in trouble. So generally speaking, I'm only ever using the grey chips anyway. Don't know why you need to know that. There is the board there. It is just the eastern side of the map. We don't use the western side of the map. That was part of one of my ideas that I brought into it, because the western side of the map got hardly any use. Might as well make use of that by halving the board size. It does mean that over there, in C-zone number 12, the mortar C-zone or convoy zone isn't numbered. So you have to remember that is number 12. It's on my little aid sheet that's there. And also C-zone number, whatever it is up there, number 10, the Italian fleet deployment zone doesn't have the deployment markers on there. That's on the other half of the board. And the number's not on there as well. But obviously you know how C-zones work, etc. On the western side there is some German reinforcements. More of that in a minute, but that's part of Matt's idea and very inspired. I do quite like how that worked out, and my box of tokens and bits and pieces that are on the ready to come into the board. So all the rules fit onto 3 A4 sheets. It's not that many of it. Sheet number 3 is the setup charts. That's all you need to know. The sheet number 2 is just some notes that occurred to me as I was playing it and some explanations of why some of the things have been done on here. And the first side of the sheet, bit of flam at the top, victory conditions down there, and these gameplay notes that you need to know before you get going with it. In terms of the victory actually on there I forgot my reroll +9 marker down there. I'm always forgetting to reroll those 9s and 10s. It's a bugbear of mine at the moment. I will get over it, I'm sure. But anyway, the victory conditions for this game, there's 4 victory conditions that are involved in it, or 4 + 2, I suppose you could say. And you're trying really to get to Brook. That is the main prize for both sides, really. If the Axis forces control Tobruk, then they will get a minor victory. If Axis control Tobruk, Ber Hashim and Mersa Matruh, they will get a major victory. The UK only need to control Mersa Matruh to get a minor victory. If they get Tobruk on its own, they get a major victory. Believe me, getting a major victory in this game is quite difficult. There's been a lot of minor victories that have occurred, but they really have happened when playing the average dice type of game to test out the balance. When I started to play the game using actual dice rolls, because dice rolls will do some funny things, you will get some sweeping victories for one side and some ignominious defeats for the other. It just happens occasionally. That's what dice rolls do. That's why we play dice games. One of the biggest difficulties that I had in trying to balance this game, which is why I was using average dice and average luck and bits and pieces like that, was trying to figure out the balance of these infantry units that the UK start off with. Give them too many at the start, they can defend Benghazi too strongly. Don't give them enough and they get run over and knocked away back to Cairo. Talking of which, that is part of the other extraordinary victory conditions. Should Axis reach Cairo, instant win for them. Should one side knock out all of the landed units on the North Africa continent, instant victory for them as well. Let's go through some of the other odd things which come up on the first of the 6 notes that we got down here. That are the major changes in Operation Sonnenblume. The first thing you may notice is there's 2 infantry guys sat there in the water. They are on a transport ship. This is now a Tobruk convoy sea zone, but it's a very special Tobruk convoy sea zone. It's not like the rest of them in Tripoli, Benghazi, whatever else it is, but it does effectively work in a very similar way, although it's an extension of the Atlantic, Indian and Suez convoy zones. All the time that the Brits are in control of Tobruk, this convoy zone is open to the UK. However, there are 4 caveats to that. During Phase 1 advanced convoys, a maximum of 2 infantry units may advance from Suez to Tobruk convoy. As in, they come round here as you've seen before in the regular game. Guys load off into there, but 2 infantry can pass through and go to the Tobruk convoy zone. Only 2 infantry, absolute maximum. Infantry that are already in the Tobruk convoy zone that do not or cannot land, either it's been full up with UK troops, unusually, or been taken over by the Axis forces, more common, are removed from play. They're either captured by the Germans or they're just sunk. During the Phase 6 deploy reinforcements, the UK cannot deploy units into there. They still observe the normal track coming around from the Atlantic Ocean, Indian, Suez. That's the way around. It's not a deployment zone as such. It's just an extension of our Atlantic convoy route. However, the UK may, in the Phase 6 deploy reinforcements and assign convoy escorts, they may assign their planes as a normal convoy escort to fly 2 spaces, 1-2, or 1 into there to defend whatever's in there. Boats may also go into Sea Zone 24 to defend that place should the need arise, should the bravery be there. And the units that are in the Tobruk convoy zone in the water may be attacked. The guys down here can't usually be attacked. The ones in there could be attacked by, say, some Axis boats coming across or some planes dropping in there as well. It leaves a nice little quandary for both sides. Do they attack it? Do we defend it? Whatever it's going to be. Also, you'll notice up there in Sea Zone 30 and Cyprus, I've got 2 destroyers and 2 fighter planes. You are actually allowed to place for free at the start of the game 4 units from a choice of 2 destroyers, 2 fighters, a submarine and a bomber. They all have their uses. Obviously, bombers can attack a lot stronger than the fighters, but they defend less. Submarines may defend a lower number than the destroyers, but their first strike ability may be important. So that's why I've included that in the choice. It's up to you which you do. I'm going to go with that one because that's what I've been using in most of my test games. These units up here, however, in Cyprus, and these guys in Sea Zone 30 cannot move until the non-combat phase of turn number 2 down here. They represent units from what was Operation Luster, a UK, history would say, errant defence of Greece, and maybe some thoughts about getting up to into the Balkan campaign as well. History has a way of telling you things were right and wrong, but these guys are tied in here for a couple of turns before they get going. Also up on the turn track up there, you can see battleship and destroyer on turn number 4. They will come in for the UK on turn number 4, obviously, into the Malta Sea Zone number 12 in the advanced convoy stage. There are a couple of guys that were, I think, from Force H left over. The Force H was the crew that unpleasantly attacked the Vichy French up in the Med a few months earlier on, and then were assigned to convoy duties afterwards. And I think actually Force H were part of the hunt, if not the destruction of Bismarck. I'm not entirely sure how they got on there. I think they did lose a few boats. The other things to point out, it's a 6-turn game. UK reinforcements come in down here on turn number 1, 2 and 3. On turn number 4, there's nothing they can bring in that's really going to help them out at all. So you've got to think really just the first 3 turns of purchases for the UK are highly important. And it's why the UK, if they go too hard too soon in defending Benghazi or attacking from Tobruk into Benghazi, always possible, what have they got coming behind them? And mortar itself does not give its RPs, its 15 RPs per turn at all. Mortar, during this period, was being heavily bombed by Germany. There was no way they were giving anything to the Brits. They were more a hindrance financially, I suppose you could say. Also down there, one of Matt's ideas, Germany do not get their RPs, their base RPs in this game. Instead, they get 50 RPs worth of units right from the get-go. They put those on in their deploy reinforcement stage of turn number 1. And that's all they're going to get, unless they get some to take Benghazi and get the RPs from there, or Tobruk and get the RPs from there as well. Germany, they're quite hard to play and obviously enjoyable to play them. So just to finish things up while we're here, the game is only being played, as you can see, by Germany, UK and Italy. It's really a two-player game or a solo game. You could play it with 3 players, but you certainly can't play it with 4 players. And it is quite a quick game to go through. Turns number 1, turns number 2 is a lot of fast movements, a lot of fast placements, so on and so forth. It will easily be played in one evening or one afternoon. One of the difficulties that I had when trying to balance this game was how many UK infantry were in this area. We got a couple of guys in Benghazi where there used to be 1, 2 guys in Bir Hashim where there used to be 1, extra landmines here, extra landmines there, a guy in M&M's, he wasn't there initially, and 2 guys in the Water Agency Zone 24. If you find that the balance is off for you, then, well, be my guest, tinker with those by 1 or 2 infantry up or down. But I don't think it's too far off right now. But what you may find, because I was using average dice through my test playthroughs, is some of the results will be swung one way or t'other, depending on how those dice rolls work out. You might find an easy victory, you might find an inglorious defeat. That's just the way it's going to go sometimes. So I think that's enough of an intro. It's probably too much of a rules explanation, but it is me. Let's get on with playing the game, turn number 1. Okay, I've just uploaded those 2 clips onto my computer, and a couple of omissions from there. Apart from my very shiny head on the my Pista camera, just got out of the bath. That's probably why it's all red and shiny. Ignore all that. Couple of things I didn't mention. These guys here, the 4th and the 6th in Cyprus or Sea Zone 30, that was one of my ideas. Those guys up there on the turn track number 4 coming in via mortar, that was another one of my ideas. And also mortar itself, I mentioned you don't get the 15 RPs from there for the UK. Mortar itself is out of bounds. It's feasible that UK air could reach mortar, but obviously it's out of bounds. They cannot use it now. The other things to mention, UK get a free landmine in Mersa Matruh and a free landmine in Bir Hashim. And by free, it's on the setup, but you choose where you put them. We're putting one on the Bir Hashim border and one on the Bir Hashim to Mersa Brega border. Put them where you like. Feel free to muck around and see how you want to put them down. The UK are getting 4 infantry and 3 artillery on their Atlantic convoy zone going round there. And Germany, from Matt's ideas, for their 50 initial RP, let me just step around the camera, the initial 50 RPs, they're getting themselves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 infantry, 3 artillery, submarine supplies, tank and anti-tank gun. That's their 50 RPs. No base income comes for Germany after that. That's about all we've got to catch up with, I believe. Let's just reset everything nice and straight and look at turn number 1. Move the roundel across to there. Phase 1, advanced convoys for Germany. Nothing to advance. Requisition reinforcements. Well, that is the 50 RPs that we spent just there. Now, and we go into the combat move and attack declarations. So, Germany, very simply, are going to run this 1 scout car into here for free. Doesn't cost them anything because it's one of those self-sufficient units. These 5 guys here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
going to have a bash at the Brits in Merseburger. They're going to spend 1 supply in doing that, and the UK are going to spend 1 supply in defence. We can also fly some planes over here. We do it straight away now because later on, when we start getting units into Benghazi convoy zone, we're going to probably need these planes to be defending this area with once the Brits get their navy up and running. But for the moment, we can use them quite happily. So 1, 2, 3 spaces into Merseburger. They've got a landing space demonstrated in Al Alghira 1 space later. We'll put a fuel token on there to mark that. We can move the dice tray somewhere nicely into shot. And Germany will roll 2 dice for their tank, coming in at 5s. And scoring 0 hits from there. Anti-tank gun rolls in at a 3 in attack. Can target the tank on the first round. Nearly, but no cigar. This is a bit of a disaster. We've got infantry artillery running in there at 3s. Scoring 2 hits. Nice. That's a good start then. Finally, we've got the 1 scout car that attacks at a 2 and then must retreat afterwards. And scores a hit. That's the 3rd hit that's required. No need to roll those 2 planes that are in there, but we're going to anyway because that's just me. We've got our Stuka goes in at a 5 and scores hit, and the fighter at a 4 hit as well. What were we worried about? You got to get that. It's a must-do situation there for Germany. It's only costing 1 supply, so we're happy enough with that. The British Matilda defends at a 5, scores a hit. Nice. And the infantry artillery at 3s scores a 2nd hit. That's a bit stronger than Germany were hoping for. Germany are going to take that on the scout car because they can do, and on the mechanised infantry as well. These 3 Brits are all lost. Non-com moves, well, end of combat moves should we say, these guys go into here. It does leave enough space for the Italians to come through now. I'll sort out the non-com, which is going to be moving these guys forward into Merseburger. Probably just 1 guy from there. We need to leave 3 spaces, because I made that mistake before. Need to leave 3 spaces in here for these 3 Italians to come through and attack Benghazi in a minute. Let me tidy that up and I'll see you in a second when I finish the non-coms and we can deploy all our reinforcements. Okay, that's the end of the German non-com movement. We just took the 1 mechanised infantry from Tripoli into Merseburger. We took the tank that was there into Al Alghira. We figure that we got enough punching power here to perhaps punch ourselves into Ber Hashim. We don't want to expose too many of our expensive pieces too early. That's why we're holding that one back. A little bit of a shilly-shally move, I must admit, but where are we going this time round? The 1 truck that was in Tripoli, it could move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and bring those supplies forward, along with some supplies from Al Alghira into Merseburger. But I figure for now, we'll just bring it back into Tripoli. You can pick up some of these guys there that have loaded in the deploy reinforcement stage. Talking of which, this 1 submarine that was purchased in the reinforcements, unlike the base game where you've got Sea Zone 1, is it, where it's the German reinforcement zone that goes in when you purchase it, in this version, it goes in the deploy reinforcement stage for Germany just here, just now. You're unlikely to buy any more from there. And we haven't put all our reinforcements into Tripoli. I've put some infantry and some supplies up there in Italy. Though we could do with our supplies early, I figure that if we can get the Benghazi convoy zone open on turn number 1, when the Italians come flooding through, we would hope, then the supplies being further forward at the start may be more beneficial when we find out how it's going to play out. So, I think that's all for Germany. We can go on to the Brits now. They have got 33 RPs to spend. 15 plus 8 is 23, plus 4 is 27, and the 6 base makes 33. Their advanced convoy stage, these guys go from Tobruk convoy into Tobruk. We can take these 4 guys into the Suez Canal, but we're going to take off 2 of them and ship, let me just get my fingers working properly, and ship those round in our new convoy sea zone Tobruk round to there, ready for next turn. They're sitting there in the water going, let's just hope this plan all works out. Guys from India go forward, guys from Atlantic Ocean go forward. The requisition reinforcements, the 33 mentioned for the Brits, they're getting 7-14-21, one of my favourite combinations, infantry artillery, just shove them in there. Tankless 5, 4 mines and some supplies themselves. You don't need to have too many supplies on either side, but if you run out, you are in deep doo-doo. The 4 mines that the Brits have got for placement, one is going to go into Benghazi. That is for sure. One will go into Tobruk to boost up that border. We'll have one more in M&M's, probably on the Tobruk border. And one more can go into Behr Hashim. And we're thinking a little bit far ahead whether we put it into the Benghazi border in case the Italians come through and do take Benghazi quickly, or a second one down here to repel the Germans, which may come through from Mersa Brega on turn number 2 as well. We're doubling up in there, and we're sort of and hoping that they don't come that way. Of course, they could come round through Jallo up through here. You've got to put it somewhere. That's the way we're going for now. Let me have a quick think now about the UK's combat move and attack declaration, and get back to you in a second when I've decided just how much we're going to reinforce these borders. Okay, we're going on to the British combat movement phase. We just move you around a little bit, give myself a bit more space to work with. Brits are making just one combat move. This guy here that's in Sand Zone J goes through Jello into Mersa Brega to attack those supplies. We could have attacked those supplies when they're in British hands with the German Stuka and their scout car with the collateral damage and the supply raider. But obviously supplies are the beating heart in this game. Germany are a little bit shy of supplies, or Axis are a bit shy of supplies right from the get-go, so getting one out of there that the Brits can do that the Germans wouldn't do is probably a bonus for them. We can now roll this attack out into there. It's usually not successful, but it could be. They've got to roll at 2 for the scout car, and it entirely misses. 2 German tanks, they defend at 4s and score 1 hit straight away. No need to roll the rest of them out. This guy is lost and gone. But we've done the damage we want to do versus those supplies. If we look now at our non-combat movements, we think because Germany did lose 2 units rather than 1 down there, Benghazi's got a bit of a chance of standing up. So to do that, we're going to take this one guy from Tobruk. He's going to move into Benghazi, getting 3 guys in there, plus that landmine. Yeah, the Italians aren't going to have it all their own way when they try to go through in a minute. We're taking one guy from M&M's. He's going to go into Behr Hashim on foot. And then from further back down the line, one of the scout cars from M&M's is going to go into Siwa, just as a bit of a blocking force, just in case the Germans want to come through this way. We don't think they really are going to. I'll do the guys from Cairo in a minute, but we're going to start moving these trucks and supplies around. We've got 1 truck here. We can take it from Benghazi, 3 supplies plus 3 supplies. So 6 of them will end up eventually into M&M's on that 1 truck. Easy peasy. Second truck can go 1, 2, 3, 4 and take another 6 supplies all the way back to Cairo. It just gets it out of the way just in case the Germans do grab Tobruk early, or the Axis grab Tobruk early. We've got some of the supplies out of the way. So that is the truck done. And we can now look at the guys from Cairo. We've got 4 guys in Cairo. They can move forward. We'll take a guy off there and chip him up as well. I mean, we could actually move these guys forward on trucks rather than grabbing supplies, but I figure at this stage we've got plenty of time to get guys walking into Tobruk, and our new convoy Season 24 aids getting guys forward as well. We could take our 1 anti-tank gun and our 1 anti-aircraft gun. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7 guys in there. So we're one below our limit, and our fighter plane can go as far as Tobruk and sit in there. The only other things we're going to be doing non-com is what we do with our fleet. Our one submarine is a little bit vulnerable, although it's not in too much peril at this stage, but we never know what's going to happen. We're going to move this guy back as far as Sea Zone 24. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring the fleet from 31 forward into 24 as well. That really is saying to Axis forces, get off my land, because they know where they're going to be attacking in that, whilst they can also be threatening Benghazi should Benghazi become open. That is going to be it for the UK. These guys here, over up in Cyprus, as I said, they can't move until turn number 2, non-combat movement phase. So that's all we're going to be doing with the Brits right now. Let me just deploy the reinforcements. They're going to get their supplies, Matilda, infantry artillery, into the Atlantic convoy zone that will eventually arrive on, I think it's turn number 4, by the time they've whistled their way around, enjoying their bit of cruising. I'll see you when we get on to the Italians in a moment. Okay, on with the Italians on turn number 1. Phase number 1, advanced convoys, doesn't happen. It's straight onto the requisition reinforcements. They're getting themselves some supplies costing 3. 5 infantry, because they're cheaper than the regular infantry that everybody else gets, because they're spending all their money on Armani suits rather than rifles. And 1 artillery piece as well. Their combat move and attack declaration, they're going to be taking these 2 guys here from Zela in their tanks into Mersa Brega and onwards into Benghazi, along with their scout car. It's going to cost them 1 supply from back here. And the Brits have got a mine to explode, which they're flaw in the plan for the Italian forces is how good this mine is. They can also use, there's 1 fighter plane, 1, 2. We will have 2 flights left from there. It can use its bombist, 1, 2, 3, 4. It will have 2 flights from there. If the Brits do a sterling job there, it could be really expensive and quite perilous for Italy going this hard, this soon, without too many cheap guys to absorb those hits there. But that is what's going to happen. The Brits, well, they're going to be exploding their mine. We're going to be spending their supply for sure, because we are going to be defending this place no matter what that mine does. So I'm going to spend that British supply slightly out of sequence. Don't worry about that. We've got our 1 dice tray into shop now. The Brits get their 3 dice at 3s. They were pretty magical in the last time I was playing North Africa. Let's see if they can be equally successful. And they've knocked 1 of the units back. It would just be the scout car. Okay. Yeah, it's a basic enoughness, I would suppose you would say. So their 1 Italian bomber flies in at a 6 and scores 1 hit straight off. Their fighter goes in at a 4. It misses. And then 2 tanks at 3. Not really enough. Oh, 2 hits. That's all 3 guys wiped out. That is quite fortunate. All these guys are going to go. So let's have a look at what the Brits can do in defence. They've got 3 guys there defending at 3s. The Italians are going to hope they miss. And they have all missed. A hatful of high numbers. Wow. That means these guys go. He says dropping everything everywhere. So does that. So does that. Let me just reach around. 1 second. That will go into there. The tanks will roll in. These planes can go back into Al Alghira on the non-com phase. And we can use our truck to start moving some guys forward into Benghazi to back that up. That's a brilliant start for the Axis forces. They're better than they could have hoped for. The Brits having that extra guy there into Benghazi, it was close, but no cigar. That does put the cat amongst the pistons slightly. So let me do all the non-combat movement off camera, get everybody into there, and I'll deploy the reinforcements and I'll see you in a second. Okay, one of the quandaries that was left for me with the Italian moving to Benghazi was how many units we moved forward on that truck. We took 4 units forward and 2 supplies, getting ourselves 6 units into there. I don't think the Brits are going to attack out from Tobruk. If they had have moved forward with more of the guys on their trucks rather than bringing supplies backwards, they might have contemplated attacking from Tobruk, but really holding Tobruk is going to be the British objective for now. We could have moved 2 guys from Al Alghira into Mersa Brega, but we don't want to overburden this place and not allow enough space for German units to come through. So we left 2 of the guys in there in Mersa Brega and brought 2 guys from Sirte forward into there. 1 supply left behind, tucked away. And the one plane from Sicily that hasn't moved in the combat phase can now make its non-com movement into the Benghazi convoy zone. Along with these 2 boats, they can go into there. And that'll be it for Italy, apart from their reinforcements, which is going to be putting everybody into the Benghazi convoy zone. We can pile into Benghazi on turn number 2 and help support the guys that are in there. That, I think, is about all we need to do for turn number 1. And I think plenty enough with all my waffling at the start of this for video number 1. I'll get video number 2 up pretty quickly after this now, so we can see how turn 2 turns out and how the Brits start getting these guys from Sea Zone 30 and Cyprus into the action. I'll see you in video number 2 soon. Till next time, be cool.